Man, so bored. There's nothing to do these days. I wish I could just sit back and relax and hang with my friends, but that would be if I had any friends to hang out with in the first place. Well, no use complaining about it, I guess. I mean, it's not like an opportunity is just gonna show itself right at this very moment for the sake of plot convenience. Friends versus Friends night? I don't remember greenlighting that. Well, might as well check it out. After all, underground gaming tournaments go against company policy. It'd be unbecoming for me to ignore this. You know, come to think of it, I don't think I've ever been down here before. I didn't even know we had a mailroom to begin with.
I'm gaming. Oh yeah. Ooh, ah, ee, ooh, ah. Ting tang, wah wah bing bang.
Mortem?
Like dunk. It's the buzz. Let's skedaddle.
What are you doing on company property? Your restraining order forbids you from being within 500 feet of any form of festivities after you lost the script for Litmus this year.
Jack, please.
As for the rest of you, Wack Or Lit company policy strictly states that there are to be 0 underground gaming tournaments present during work hours. So, unless somebody cleared it with HR... Wait, but what is this? Oh, you already did that. Huh. Well, carry on then, I guess.
Hey, boss, you just kicked out my partner. What am I supposed to do?
Oh, I don't know. Surely you have other friends that could be your new partner.
No, not really. With all due respect, boss, everyone you hire here sucks. Would you maybe want to be my partner?
Well, I guess I could find the time in my ever so busy schedule to pencil in a bit of bonding time with the unpaid intern. So tell me, Dunk, what exactly do you need me to do? Hello everyone, Josh here again to start off Season 2 of Wack Or Lit, where Season 1 was originally meant to end. And yes, you heard that right, I did in fact say Season 2. Things are gonna be a bit different this year, hopefully, for us, and I've got some juicy content lined up for the months to come, so make sure you stay tuned and keep your eyes peeled for whenever we upload so you don't miss out. Now that the shameless plug is over, it's time to introduce today's topic of choice. Today, I'm going to be talking about a goofy little game called Friends vs. Friends. Friends vs. Friends is an up to 4-player FPS deck-building shooter made by the folks at Brainwash Gang, whose other notable games include the roguelite action platformer Non-Guns, as well as their latest game, the Western-inspired Motorvania, Laika Aged Through Blood. The game was also published by the Swedish company Raw Fury, who helped with games such as the Kingdom and Goner franchises, as well as other notable games such as Atomicrops and Sable. Now, Friends vs. Friends was first revealed at Gamescom in August of 2022, and then was released on May 30th, 2023 for PC, with console ports being promised later down the line. The game pits you and your closest friends against each other in a best-of-5 all-out brawl to the death, and features a decent selection of mechanics to keep you on the edge of your seat, with high action and fast-paced gameplay all wrapped up neatly in a cel-shaded package with a banger soundtrack and memorable cast of characters to boot. Now, I could just leave it at that, but you should hopefully know the routine by now. With that in mind, it's time I go into detail about the game and what it has to offer. Starting things off, the lore behind Friends vs. Friends is centered around this ragtag group of anthropomorphic denizens of the expertly named Friendtown who ordered a card game from some shady website that ended up being just a smidge more violent than was originally promised. What ensued is a chaotic, low-stakes, high-satisfaction free-for-all, which is the game itself. Now, the main draw of Friends vs. Friends is of course the card system and deck building using the card game previously mentioned. When you first get into the game, you start off with a handful of basic cards that are easy to understand and use after a few matches, and the longer you play, the more your deck will grow as you come across new cards through a variety of different means. You can find new cards by unlocking them via card packs distributed by one of the vendors in the game's hub world, which is this dilapidated strip mall, which I'll touch on soon enough. Card packs are obtained either by leveling up or through purchasing directly from the vendor using money earned from, again, either leveling up or just from simply playing matches. Whether you win a match or lose, you will still gain XP and money, which makes the grind not too strenuous in my opinion, and takes a bit of the stress out of the grind to get new cards for your deck. That being said, the game has quite a few cards, and you only receive a handful each time you open a pack, meaning you will still need to grind at least a little to get them all. On top of that, if you get duplicates of cards you already have, rather than immediately discarding them, they instead go towards upgrading the card, and after enough duplicates, the stats of the card get buffed, meaning your deck is still ever evolving even when you're not obtaining new cards. Speaking of your deck, once you actually get some new cards, you can head over to the diner and build it up to your liking. There are a wide variety of card types in Friends vs. Friends, and you have your buff cards, debuff cards, weapon cards, deployable helper cards, game-altering joker cards, and finally trap cards. And with the entire card roster of currently over 90 unique cards, there are so many different combinations and synergies that you can pick and choose from to form a deck that suits your specific playstyle. If you're a fan of throwing random shit out every chance you get, you can load up your deck with multiple different types of bombs, molotovs, mines, and so much more, and make your enemies feel like they're dodging artillery strikes every round. Or, if you're more defensive, you can build a deck around boosting your stats and throw down some turrets to create your own little bunker and snipe away at your enemies from afar. There are cards that make you turn into a giant, cards that blow up the map, cards that make your opponent's head swell up like a balloon, and so much more. Hell, you can even give your opponents clown shoes and make their already pixelated screens become even further pixelated. There are just so many interesting and fun combinations that you can have in this game, and the devs are routinely pumping out new cards and characters to spice things up further. The only real downsides to the deck building system are how you need to have a minimum of 25 cards per deck, but also can't exceed 50 power, although I kinda got away with breaking that due to having a deck get grandfathered in after a few updates to card costs, as well as the fact that you can't swap decks in between rounds without going back to the hub, meaning if you want to rematch a team during public matchmaking but need to change your deck first, you're kinda out of luck. The latter can also be said about changing characters, which is arguably even more of a disappointment. So while I was actually editing this, it turns out that they came out with a patch that literally fixed both of these problems, and now you're able to change both your decks and characters in between rounds, so whoops. Speaking of characters, Friends vs. Friends launched with 10 playable characters, and since then has released 2 extra characters with each of the expansions, which I'll get to later. Each character has their own benefit/downside depending on who you ask, but where they each shine is with their unique personality cards. Each character has a card that they have active at the beginning of every round that is tied to them specifically. Now, at the beginning of your run, you only have 4 characters to choose from. Starting off, you have Moose Salto, who comes with a double jump ability and synergizes well with other movement-based cards. Next is Duck Anderson, who totally isn't a stoner, and comes with a consumable Green Herb card at the start of each round, which acts as a small health restore, healing you for 40 health, which means that you can be a bit more aggressive with your playstyle, or just become unkillable by stacking health-based cards and just brute forcing a win. Then you have DJ Newton, whose special perk is Increased Accuracy, which can be combined with the Increased Accuracy card, as well as either the Brass Hopper or FK82 to basically turn you into a hit scan machine and negate bullet RNG nearly entirely. And then finally, rounding out the beginner roster is Spike Remington, who deals increased damage per shot and synergizes well with cards such as the Albatross 21 and Boomstick to shred through opponents at your range of choice. All in all, in terms of options to start out and get familiar with the game, this is a solid range to choose from. But don't worry, it doesn't take too long for you to start expanding the character roster and delve into some more interesting perks. Now, you get more characters routinely as you level up by playing matches, just like getting card packs. When you hit level 3, you unlock Stevie Gull, who spawns in every round with a custom golden version of the base pistol, which does extra damage, has increased fall-off range, and extra bullets per mag, who generally synergizes with just about anything. At level 6, you unlock Donnie B, who is my personal favorite because they have extra health in comparison to the rest of the roster, and if you build your deck right, she can be an even better version of Duck, where under the right circumstances, you can become unkillable. At level 9, you unlock Mick Raver, who spawns in with a Brass Hopper every round, which in general synergizes well with cards benefiting the player when shooting someone, such as Vampire or Poison Bullets, due to the fast fire rate and large clip. At level 12, you unlock Little Lars, who's more resistant to explosions, meaning you can get a bit bomb-happy yourself without having to worry about it blowing up in your face. Level 16 gets you Sable Santana, who spawns in with a Katana every round, meaning you should try your hardest to use cards that help you close the distance between you and the enemy, so you can cut them down. And finally, at level 20 is Haru, who moves around the map faster, and if combined with other speed boosting cards, can make you very difficult to track and take down. Each of these characters are somewhat more complex in nature and require a bit more thinking and planning. I don't think there is a single bad character here, honestly. They all synergize ridiculously well with certain cards, meaning you can make decks specially tailored to specific characters and just clean house under the right conditions. Something cool is that as you gain new characters, they begin to move into the strip mall and can be seen doing what all the hip kids do these days, such as standing in a corner, sitting in a diner, or staring at their cards. This also acts as a way to change characters while moving around to do various activities within the hub. Speaking of, let's just talk about the hub itself real quick. The hub of Friends vs. Friends is, as mentioned previously, a strip called Buddy's Boulevard, consisting of an ever-expanding and growing experience featuring multiple different activities and buildings for you to partake in while waiting in queue for your next brawl. If you go down the stairs in the bathroom of the diner to the basement, you'll find yourself at the gun range with the owner/card pack vendor Cash, where you spend your hard-earned winnings on new cards or try out any of the different guns available. The diner itself is of course used for building your card decks, like I said earlier, but once you hit level 8, you can talk to Nancy at the counter and accept daily quests, as well as eventually weekly quests at level 15, with both netting you some extra XP, as well as special tokens upon completion of the whole set for use at either of the two PAL prize dispensers outside that act as a way to earn new customization options for your guns, characters, and cards in the form of profile icons, weapon charms, skins, or card backs. While these tokens are quite the grind to get, and the items you receive, much like the cards out of the card packs, are all up to RNG as to what you get, the great thing is that it's all completely free and involves zero microtransactions, meaning no matter how long it takes, you can earn everything within the PAL prize machines without having to spend a single cent, which is honestly such a breath of fresh air in a world suffocatingly cluttered with battle passes and off-brand V-Bucks. For a while, that was everything the hub had to offer, but eventually somebody new decided to move into the strip, and on July 18th, 2023, Baba's Laundromat opened up to the public, introducing everybody's soon-to-be favorite money laundering elephant, Baba, and his many pigeons to the world. Baba acts similarly to Nancy, where he gives out quests in exchange for XP, which then goes towards a multitude of free cosmetics. Baba was the first new addition to Buddy's Boulevard, and since then, we have gotten 2 other new quest givers/businesses added, each with their own paid expansions alongside them. The first of these expansions is Wired Rex, which was released on October 10th, 2023, and brought Racco's Workshop, which gives access to Racco's quests, which act like Baba's, where upon completion, give progress and XP towards unique cosmetic rewards. Now, this time, as I mentioned, that stuff was locked behind a paywall. However, the expansion also brought along with it multiple new cards, a new map, as well as a brand new character, all for free, which in my mind evens it all out, especially considering how all the rewards for Racco's quests are purely cosmetic anyways and offer no competitive advantage. The new character introduced for Wired Rex was Cluster Jr., who gets 2 mini turrets at the beginning of each round, which can be enough of a nuisance on their own, but you can fully embrace your inner rodent and just rat away with a full turret build and be the bane of everyone's existence, putting them on blast just for being out in the open. The second expansion for the game is Nerdvana, which was released on January 16th, 2024, and saw the comic shop of the same name move in right next to Racco and introduces us to Spoons, who, like the other quest givers, rewards us with various customization options, this time centered around tabletop RPGs. Also, just like with Wired Rex, Nerdvana launched with new cards, a new map, and a new character completely free of charge, with the new character this time being Roberto Mulligan, who gets the perk of stealing an enemy's unique perk at the beginning of each round, meaning he can synergize with just about anything depending on the circumstances. It can be reasonably assumed that more expansions are in the works as long as the game continues to get supported, meaning more new quests, cosmetics, characters, and cards for the foreseeable future if all goes well. It's been fun seeing the strip evolve over time and see the new new characters populated and make it all the more lively, and I hope that it continues. Now, all that being said, I have yet to actually talk much about the actual point of the game. You know, the versus part. Now, the thing about Friends vs. Friends is that it only has 2 modes with a couple different variations to them, which is a bit of a drag. You have 1v1 and 2v2, and then that's it. Now, you can play those modes with either your own friends against bots or through the matchmaking system, either pairing you up against or with randoms, and then at that point the match balance is then at the mercy of whatever uncoordinated decks are at play, as well as the crazed playstyles of everybody in the game. This is where a bit of a divide within the player base resides, because for some, myself included, the game is better enjoyed as a simple party game where you and your friends just fight each other and have a good time seeing who can come out on top and then rinse repeat until you wear yourselves out. However, for a different group, the game is much more competitive, and they prefer to play the game with the public skill-based matchmaking and climb up the ranks to be the best of the best. This is perfectly fine, and no way am I trying to suggest that making a shooter game competitive is a bad thing. What I will say, however, is that the game has a very limited player pool of about 200 or so in any given day, with the vast majority of them most likely being experienced players, which then means that the skill-based matchmaking can oftentimes be a bit unfair, depending on how experienced you are. Personally, if I was a new player, I wouldn't want to go up against a level 100 player who's multiple skill ranks above me and has like 5 times my playtime every other match. From what I've seen, by the time the match is done, a new player would probably return to the lobby rather than run it back and risk getting curb stomped again. On top of that, by the inherent nature of the game's progression system, when you go against people who grinded out leveling up their cards, you're at a huge disadvantage due to their cards physically being better than yours, meaning you have to try even harder to come out on top. This constant uphill battle of being a new player can probably get to be a bit frustrating sometimes, and honestly is most likely the biggest issue people have with the game. And yeah, one can make the argument that it's a skill issue, but when almost every match is a skill issue, I begin to understand why some people aren't as big a fan of the game as I am. Anyways, enough about the matchmaking system. How does the game actually feel to play? Honestly, in my opinion, the game feels great, and overall the pacing is really dependent on the cards at play, meaning you can take things as fast or as slow as you and your friends want. Oftentimes, you get forced into these chaotic confrontations in tight hallways or areas where you have to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge around cover in hopes of taking out the enemy team first. But also just as often, you can wind up in sniper battles from across the map trying to chip away at the enemy before a big push in the finale. As I mentioned earlier, the game operates on a best of 5 rule set where the first team to get 3 rounds comes out the winner. This gives ample time to cycle through most of, if not all of your deck by the time the full match is done. At the start of each round, you spawn in with just the base pistol and your personality card alongside a handful of random cards from your deck that you can then use as you please during the round, and whatever cards you don't use carry over into the next round, giving you the opportunity to save a specific card and wait to possibly see a different one that could synergize well with it later. This system produces a game where no 2 matches will ever be the same with all the different combinations possible, and it creates such an enjoyable experience for me. I don't think there is really any other game like Friends vs. Friends out there, and it's been amazing watching it grow and evolve and seeing how the meta shakes up every time a new card or mechanic gets introduced. Like, what other game is there where you can be having a sniper battle, then whip out a card called Garbage Day, filling the enemy team's hand with literal garbage that they then have to sift through to find their actual cards, or completely turn the tides of a match by nuking the map and creating an entirely new one from the fallout? I really fell in love with this game through my time playing it, I think, but that extends beyond the gameplay for me and includes other aspects, such as the excellent voice acting for each of the characters, giving them all unique identities, as well as the world presentation and level design, where everything is so colorful and cartoony, but still feels like an actual believable environment. Not to mention the dedication of the developers with their giving out regular blog posts talking about what's next on the horizon for the game, all the while trying to tie it into the lore through the voice of the supposed mayor of Friendtown. And of course, last but not least, the albeit short, but still excellent soundtrack. There's just so much about this game that I enjoy, and after watching this review, maybe you'll give it a try and enjoy it too. Anyways, I feel like I'm starting to yap now, so I think it's time for the big wrap up. Friends vs. Friends is an amazing game. Everything about it is colorful and energetic and suits the overall tone of just a bunch of friends hanging out who just so happen to be fighting to the death over a silly little deck of cards. Sure, the game has its quirks to it, and there are some things that I would like to see added or changed, such as the introduction of a free-for-all mode, or the ability to have bots fill in if there's an instance of only 3 players, as well as just, general tweakings to the somewhat lacking spectator system and the card leveling system, which the devs have already been slowly working on as the game has grown. But all that aside, I seriously do not think I could recommend this game enough to people who are looking for an easy-to-pick-up shooter to play with a few friends for an hour or two and have a blast seeing all the scenarios that could play out with the different cards and characters of Friends vs. Friends. This is a game that I have thoroughly enjoyed playing and hope to continue enjoying far into the future, and with that in mind, I give Friends vs. Friends a certified lit with 9 clown shoe cards out of 10. Also, maybe if Brainwash are looking for a bit of inspiration for an upcoming character or skin, I wouldn't be opposed to lending my likeness. If they can give Smitty a skin, surely they'd be willing to give one to me, right? We basically have the same influential power. Not to toot my own horn. Oh yeah, oh baby, oh, we are on a roll, Dunk. Oh man, this game is amazing. Alright, who's got next? Anyone? No? What? Why is everybody so, Dunk, what's that word for, the opposite of happy?
Do you mean sad?
Yeah, sad. Look at them. Their mouths are doing the thing, when they aren't smiling.
The word you're looking for is frowny, boss.
Yeah, that's it. Come on, people, I thought this was a friendly little competition.
It was, and then you mopped the floor with everyone here. You started making fun of Craig from marketing about the time he pooped his pants.
Oh. I see. Well, in that case, Dunk, I appreciate you letting me join you for this tournament, but unfortunately, it looks like the rest of the office is afraid of our combined power, and they don't want a rematch. So, maybe it's about time for me to retire and return to my post, so you all can go back to having fun. I'm sure you'll be able to handle things without me. You're a hell of a teammate. Ugh. Well, it was fun while it lasted. Guess it's back to being alone for me. Again? Maybe I won't be so alone after all.